Alexa, turn it up to 7.
All the promise when I make, they gonna be like said where the money, where the food, everybody want it. Since you gonna tears and play, we don't tire to complain. I see the part where you been good. You say Nigeria into do. 97% and 5%. You know we talk like president. Put Nigeria with sentiment. And take your office to revenge. Oh yeah, now, all the Buhari. We dey beg you. Make Nigeria no go scatter for your head. Yes, sir. After the election, where them do. We still dey wait to see the change. All the promise when they make, they gonna be like say they fake you. And where the money, where the food, Nigerian people want improve. But since you don't let things unfair, we don't tire to complain. No good for the youth, and security no improve. Inflation don't hit the roof. Still government know they say the truth. I am my brother, this change now yawa. Down to the suffer, pray God for Nigeria. I am my sister, and this government now yawa. Down to the suffer, pray God for Nigeria. After the election, when them do, we still have wait to see the change. Cause all the promise when they make, trying gonna be like say they fake you. And where the money, where the food, Nigerian people want improve. But since you don't let
Alexa, turn it down to 0.
Down to Zero is available with Amazon Music Unlimited, which lets you play over
Alexa,
50 million songs.
turn it down to 0. Thank you. So, good morning, and you're welcome to Mayegun's Diary today. So, sorry that we're a bit late as well. So if you have read the caption of the broadcast and you have been reading my rants on Mayegun's Diary since morning from all over the world, that is actually how I feel this morning. For some reason, I just felt like we have covered so many injustices for so long, knowingly and unknowingly, and until we atone for all those, until we re-educate ourselves, until we open up, until we are ready to heal, until we are also ready to apologize, until we are ready indeed to change the narrative they forced on us for 60 years. Until you change it, nothing else will change. And I want you to know this morning, this broadcast is for educational purposes only. You are here to probably refresh your mind about Nigeria. There was a Nigeria. There is a Nigeria. The former Nigeria was the original one that everyone subscribed to. The new one is the one after they killed the old one, is the new one they now enforced on us. For years, we have been living that lie. This morning, I am not here on this broadcast to target your tribe, your religion, or to target you as a person. I am just here to share with you what I have found about our history, when I was looking at what happened, how did it get so bad? How could it become so terrible that we couldn't fix it? How come that we are so divided? I realized that we have been divided since January 15, 1966. It is a narrative they love to deny. They love to deny it because the actors, the perpetrators of those criminal acts, those who robbed and destroyed the real Nigeria that everyone subscribed to at independence, many of them are still alive. They are not just alive, they are still very active in calling the shot of what goes on in Nigeria, because they are the architect of the fake Nigeria that is so fake that we can no longer pretend anymore. So, when I said let's break up Nigeria, I am not a fanatic. I am not an ignorant person who have no idea of what breaking up a country entails. But let me break it down for you. Nigeria is going to break up. Whether you love the country so much and you want her to be great, it's good. The Nigeria you want to make great is the fake Nigeria that these criminals have succeeded in engraving in our minds. And I will prove it to you today. You know many of them. I will connect, you know what I mean? I will connect the dots, cross the T's. You and I, all of us, will reason together. What you make of it is your own business, not mine. I have read comments about, Mayegun, you are sitting down in the UK and you want to break up Nigeria. The simple answer to some of you like that is this. You can defend what you love. All of us will defend what we love. I'm a Yoruba man. And by the current Nigeria arrangement, if I am willing and ready to play ball, I am partially favored than my brother from the eastern part of the country, even if he is better than me, even if he is more qualified than me. Meanwhile, they want me to see myself as a Nigerian, as one Nigerian. They want that my brother from the east to also stop complaining and start seeing himself too as a normal and one Nigerian. The injustice that you deny is just the same thing that keeps everyone stagnant. So I am not here to seek for your validation. I am not here to actually seek for your support or anything at all, other than for you to listen. If you have a bit of a minute of your time. And if you don't, you can excuse yourself and let those who want to listen. Nigeria is a fake country. There was a Nigeria. There is a Nigeria. The Nigeria that is worse, or let me say, the Nigeria that was killed in 1966. And what happened? I'll take you through the memory lane. In 1966, January 15, some mutinous, they call them mutinous soldiers, who felt like the then politicians were so corrupt that they were going to destroy the newly independent country. Soldiers, I will give you their names. And they were led by Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogu and Emmanuel Ifejuana. They killed 22 people, and it all began in June 1965. That was when the plot to overthrow, kill some, save some, arrest some, then take over Nigeria from the hands of Nigeria politicians of then, the likes of Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, and many, many like that. I will give you names. They were soldiers. Then, including the Prime Minister, which was Nnamdi Azikiwe. Now, I'll read you this story, a brief. The coup plotters, this whole plot was to attack Kaduna, Ibadan, and then Lagos, the seat of power. The leader of the coup was in Kaduna, so they were ready to take down Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, and all those northern leaders, including military leaders from the north. Those who were in the south, they were to take care of all the southern politicians, all the southern generals, including Aguiyi Ironsi. Aguiyi Ironsi was meant to be killed in that coup, so that they can clear everybody and take over the country forward. That was their plan, according to them. So this is what happened. The background. In August 1965, a group of army majors, Emmanuel Ifejuana, Timothy Onwantuegu, Chris Anuforo, Don Okafor, Humphrey Shukuka, and Adewale Ademoyega began plotting a coup d'etat against incumbent Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. The coup was planned because, according to the majors, the men at the helm of affairs were running Nigeria aground with their corrupt ways. Ministers under them were living flamboyant lifestyles and looting public funds at the expense of ordinary citizens. That was their reasons. The president of Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe, left the country in 1965, for Europe. Then on a cruise to the Caribbean, like all the enjoyment, part of the reason they had to overthrow them. While the country was suffering, the soldiers felt like the Prime Minister Nnamdi Azikiwe was touring Europe. He was on a cruise ship going into the Caribbean. The Prime Minister. So they were angry. So, now this is what happened. In the morning of January 15, 1966, at a meeting with some local journalists in Kaduna, seeking to find out what was going on, it was brought to Major Nzegu's attention that the only information about the event then was, this is what made the coup fail, because even the coup, after they killed Tafawa Balewa, after they killed which other guy there, Ahmadu Bello, and many other people, generals and all of that, Nzegu was waiting for those they gave the job to in the south to give back that. Awolowo was lucky. He was in prison. Right? After the Wet problem of 1963 in Southwest, and then the subsequent election violence of 1964, Awolowo ended up being prosecuted and convicted for treason. So Awolowo was in jail when the coup was taking place. So those who were in the south, right, they were doing the job as well, but one way or the other, they couldn't get the broadcast on just the same way Nzegu wanted and was expecting to do in Kaduna. At that point, that was where Aguiyi Ironsi came into the picture. They didn't kill him in the south. It was in Lagos. Now, this is what happened. The moment that coup took place, and the whole, you know what I mean, the Prime Minister was outside Nigeria. They have killed the they have killed the president. Tafawa Balewa there. They've killed him. So there was a vacuum. The then Senate President, if you can call him that, which happens to be Nwafor Orizu. So because the coup plotters couldn't get their broadcast outside, at that point, the acting president, Nwafor Orizu, who happened to be the Senate President, by the way, before the coup, so made a broadcast, a nationwide broadcast, after he had briefed President Nnamdi Azikiwe on the phone about the decision of the cabinet, announcing cabinet's voluntary decision to transfer power to the armed forces. So it wasn't the coup. It wasn't those who plotted the coup that made Aguiyi Ironsi the first Nigeria military head of state. It wasn't them. Aguiyi Ironsi was meant to be killed, but he wasn't killed. So the prime minister, the president was dead. The prime minister was outside the country. There's no president, there's nobody. The Senate president became acting president, and he said they've agreed to hand over power to the armed forces. Who was the leader of the remaining head of the armed forces, the most senior then? Aguiyi Ironsi. That was how Nigeria of old was transferred to the Nigeria of new, the calamity that they are now trying to force on you, which finally led to civil war, which finally led to the division of today. The same civil war that ended in 1970, my brothers and sisters, turned to Cold War. And that Cold War is what a part of the country is fighting for years. But I am supposed to come here and tell you that Nigeria is one simply because I'm a Yoruba man, and I am supposed to say that. I am supposed to say that to you as a Yoruba man, then just say I'm speaking for all Nigerians, we are one. That is what they sold to you. What happened? Immediately Aguiyi Ironsi took over. He decided to bury the whole Nigeria, which was all regions on your own, doing your thing. Shall you get? The North, they were doing their thing. The Eastern Nigeria, they were doing their thing. The Western region, they were doing their thing. That was the Nigeria. They killed that from January 15, 1966. They then changed it to what it is today. And since then, they have not been able to keep it together. They said I should tell you I'm a Nigerian. Simply because, and they want an Igbo man as well to say he's a Nigerian. Yes, he's a Nigerian. Now, what happened? By July, the same year, 1966, the wahala began. Before then, the rumor everywhere was the January 15, 1966 coup was an Igbo coup. I'll tell you those who died. I think I needed to add that. It's very important, the casualties. So that maybe when you hear these names, you can tell me that those who died in 1966 coup, that in the northern Nigeria, the belief there was January 15, 1966 coup was an Igbo coup plotted to kill all the northern leaders. And since then, it has been a Cold War. We have our Yoruba brothers, my Yoruba brothers and sisters, who have that same mentality too. But maybe this I am doing right now will give you another perspective to the whole thing they've sold you. Then when I tell you that Nigeria should break up, you have an idea where this is coming from. It was never one country. It was never. Now listen, these are the people who died for that January 15, 1966 coup. Okay? And Aguiyi Ironsi was meant to be killed too. But the southern soldiers, they didn't get him. They couldn't get the message out. They couldn't take over the seat of power in Lagos. That faulted the coup. And eventually, those who survived the coup, the politicians, they handed over power to Aguiyi Ironsi. And Aguiyi Ironsi used that absolute power they gave to him at that point to bring the entire country to one authority, one unity. And from then on, it has been the battle of who will control that one center. These are the people who died in the 1966 January 15 coup. The Prime Minister, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the Premier, Ahmadu Bello, the Premier of Northern Region, Ahmadu Bello, the Premier of Western Region, Samuel Ladoke Akintola, Finance Minister, Festus Okoti-Eboh, Ahmed Ben Musa, Senior Assistant Secretary for Security to the Prime Minister, Afusatu Bello. These are the civilians who died though. Afusatu Bello, Mrs. Latifatu Ademulegun. You see, they didn't just kill some soldiers, some civilians, politicians. They killed their wives too. They killed their spouses. See this woman name, this Afusatu Bello, she is a wife to a politician killed in the north. Latifatu Ademulegun, she is the wife of the who's that? Where's Ademulegun again? Yeah, she's the wife of another politician in the southwest. Zarumi Sadauno, Ahmed Pategi. He was a government driver. They killed him. Minister of Finance Okotiebo. The military personnel and police they killed in that coup. Listen to their names. Samuel Ademulegun, Brigadier Samuel Ademulegun, Brigadier Zakaria Mai Malari, Colonel Raf Shodeinde, Colonel Kor Mohammed, Lieutenant Colonel Abogo Lagema, Lieutenant Colonel James Palm, Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Onegbe, Sergeant Daramola Oyegoke, PC Johanna Gakawa, Lance Corporal Musa Nimzo, PC Akpan Anduka, PC Agai Lai, Philip Lewande. Those are the people who died, the civilians and the military personnel or police who died in that coup. Did you see? You actually heard all the names, Abi? Did that name? Those names represent one region. Did they represent one region? They went all across board. Everyone had a share in the coup. But that was not the narrative in the north. So in the north, the rumor then was the coup was Igbo coup. And they planned to take over Nigeria. That is why, because Azikiwe was not killed, because it wasn't even in Nigeria. So they did all of this. By July 1966, Gowon, Muritala, and the likes of them, they staged another coup. In their own coup, July 1966 coup, I'm going to bring that up now. In their own coup, they called it retaliatory coup. I gave you the background of the coup. I gave you the names and how the beneficiary came to be. And then I'm going to tell you the aftermath. The aftermath is 1966 July coup. And they called it counter coup. This time around, they went out to, and this is their reason. According to historian Max Silon, Northern soldiers had a list of grievances following the aborted January 15, 1966 coup. So the coup in 1966 is tagged aborted because it didn't achieve its aim. The coup plotters either got killed or they ran away, disappeared. The beneficiary of that coup are not the plotters of the coup. Note that. But the northern soldiers, these Nigerian soldiers from the north, they decided to call it retaliatory coup because they believed that it was targeted at them. But still, they call it aborted coup. Let me continue. So, which led to the planning of the counter coup. A list of their grievances were, listen up, I told you the grievances of the soldiers who planned the coup. Now, these are the grievances of the northern soldier led by Yakubu Gowon. These are their reasons for why they planned the coup and killed Aguyi Ironsi, killed Adekunle Fajuyi, killed so many other Yorubas and other Igbos and all of them across board. They call it counter coup, retaliatory coup. Now, these are their grievances. The murder of northern civilian leaders and military officers in the aborted January 15, 1966 coup d'etat. The January 15, 1966 coup conspirators, mostly majors, had not been tried for treason and and were being paid while in detention. So, the passage of the Unification Decree, rumors of an Igbo coup to eliminate northern soldiers, the promotion of several Igbo majors to lieutenant colonel, rumors of General Agunyirosi's ethnic favoritism towards Igbos, plans to swap the 1st and 4th battalions, and plans to rotate the military governors of the different regions. The last one, I'm coming back to that too. Rotating military governors. Did that not become something they later did? Abi? Is that not how Marwa became governor in Lagos State? Military governor of Lagos State. Marwa from Borono, where is he from? Borono, Bauchi, whatever. So part of their complaint that they suspected that the power that Aguiyi-Ironsi have now, that he united the country and made the country one so that he can control it and favor Igbos. This rumor was right. I was right. But the one I'm going to really put together on is the issue of rumors of the rumors of an Igbo coup to eliminate northern soldiers. That after killing their leaders, they are going to start killing us. That was their reason. So they didn't plan to rule Nigeria. Are you with me? They had no plan to rule Nigeria. They want to retaliate. Then stop Aguiyi-Ironsi from the new power that the past Nigeria just gave to him. So the coup was Igbo. Even though they know that Aguiyi-Ironsi didn't plan any coup. They know that Aguiyi-Ironsi was not part of any coup. But he's the beneficiary anyway. Now they are so scared. They were scared. So they had to take people down. For no reason. Not because they wanted to do it better. Like, okay, we suspected that you are going to give Igbos absolute power over us. We don't want that. We want to give everybody power. We don't want, you know what I mean? They didn't do that. They did like the normal Boko Haram. That was what Gowon and his other northern rebels, they did. What they did was that they became Boko Haram. They were the first official terror group in Nigeria. The first, the guys who planned the 1966 July coup. They were the first Boko Haram in Nigeria in history. And you can write that down now. Because what they did was not to take power. They didn't have any plan for the country. They had any idea. But they were sad. Their soldiers who planned the coup, those who got killed, they killed them. Those who got arrested, they were in jail. They said Aguiyi-Ironsi had no plan to prosecute them. Therefore, with the new power, Aguiyi-Ironsi now control all their emirs, all their politicians in the north. They will need to go to Aguiyi-Ironsi, the new head of state. Because you know why? That was not the Nigeria everybody signed up for. So, they were against it. They wanted to be on their own. They wanted their leaders. But though their leaders have been killed, so were leaders of other places. Right? But they had no plan for Nigeria. So it was because of the hatred. It was because of the anger. It was because of the disappointment. It was because of so much rage against the Igbos as they saw it then. Unfortunately, when they came to kill the Igbos, they killed many Yorubas too. So if you are a Yoruba man, beating your chest, the Igbos are so stubborn. They deserve to be, if they try anything again, they'll be killed. You are just stupid. You may not have a clue, but I'll let you have a clue today. When they came, the rogue, the terrorists then, Gowon and Co., when they came to retaliate, they didn't just kill the Igbos. Today they may tell you they love you and all of that. No, they don't. They don't. There's no one Nigeria under the current package. It's all lie. That's why nobody. That is why it defies all solution. When you leave Nigeria, you begin to prosper. You begin to do well. You begin to see things differently. You begin to realize that all the difficult things in Nigeria were actually like normal things here. Why? Because the country is fake. it was put together based on hatred to punish a tribe that they believed had an ulterior motive to control the rest of us. So they ended up trying to control the rest of us, and here we are. Look at us, one Nigeria. I can say that as a Yoruba man, Abi, because I know that if I can play ball, if I can play along, if I can be an ass licker, if I can say yes sir to all your Yoruba leaders, I can get appointment. In fact, I can get a political post. I mean, I can get elected to be governor. If I become Abi, and by doing so, one Nigeria, they can even tell me that I can be president too, because I'm a Yoruba man, Abi. But if an Igbo man stands before you, then they made you believe that that is your enemy standing before you. They tell you he's your enemy. Then that on the other hand, they also make you believe that you must believe in one Nigeria. What is one Nigeria without the Igbos in it? They said they're not part of it. They don't want to be. And suddenly all of you turn around. My friends start talking about Oduduwa Republic. Leave Igbos out of it. Are you now fighting for Biafra? I have sent many of you out of Mayegun's diary today. You will never come back again. Mayegun, don't block them. Leave them. Are you afraid of criticism? No, I'm not afraid of criticism. Okay? People do that all the time. Thousands of comments are on this page. And 70% of them are just those who just come in to just say, Mayegun, why are you in your kitchen? Why are you always in the kitchen? Mayegun, why are you in the... You know what I mean? So I'm not afraid of that. I don't care. But the moment you come on Mayegun's diary, only to do one thing, to become a tribal bigot on my page, and you think it's normal, maybe because you are a Yoruba person, it is normal to say rubbish about others, then still want to claim one Nigeria. And I ask you, where is that one Nigeria then? In practical, where is it? You are made to believe that an Igbo man is your enemy. An ordinary Igbo man, an average Igbo man as well, believes that he is not welcomed. So, why must he be nice? Why must he be your friend? Why must he be friendly? You suspect him because they made you to suspect him. You didn't even know where this whole thing started from. You have no clue. You are fighting the war that you have no idea about. And I am here to tell you that, and you want to be so stupid, to tell me I shouldn't talk about the Igbos, and I should talk about one Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Biafra land we are talking about today is currently in Nigeria. The people living there says they don't want to be called Nigerians. You want me to come here and pretend that it doesn't matter? They are Nigerians, whether they like it or not. They are Nigerians. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why should you call yourself my friend? I mean, why should you call yourself my friend on Mayegun's diary and have such mentality? Mayegun, be careful of these Igbos. And you call yourself my friend on Mayegun's diary. And on the other hand, Mayegun is the tribalist, is the one with tribalism. Are you not confused? Let's continue. In July 1966, these guys came and they killed. I will give you their names. Unfortunately, they sold the idea as counter-coup. But it was what crooks can always make up. These are their names of those who participated in the July 1966 counter-coup that further drove Nigeria into the abyss of today. You cannot fix Nigeria, my brothers and sisters, if you are not using your energy to demand for a complete breakup of Nigeria. I advise you use your energy for something better than to defend the continuous togetherness that was never, ever in existence. They told you lies through schools. They told you lies through churches. They told you lies through mosques. They told you lies through political gatherings. They told you lies through different books they wrote. They told you lies through different interviews they granted. Because doing so helped them to bury the real history. Those who participated in July 1966 coup, they were not just Northerners. They were others too. These are their names. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Akahan, Commander 4th Battalion, Kaduna. Lieutenant Colonel Muritala Muhammad, Inspector of Signals, Lagos. Major Theophilus Jidanjuma, Principal Staff Officer, Army Headquarters, Lagos. Major Abba Kyari, Artillery, Kaduna. Major Martin Adamu, 2nd Battalion, Lagos. Major Shitu Alao, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters, Lagos. Major Musa Usman, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters, Lagos. Captain Joseph Garba, Federal Guards, Lagos. Captain Isa Buka, Federal Guards, Lagos. Captain Ibrahim Taiwo, Lagos Garrison, Yaba. Captain Baba Usman, GSO, Grade 2, Army Headquarters, Lagos. Captain Abdul DS, Wire, 3rd Battalion, Kaduna. Lieutenant Muhammadu Buhari. Lieutenant Muhammadu Buhari. 2nd Brigade, Lagos. Lieutenant Ibrahim Babangida. 1st RS Kaduna. Lieutenant Ibrahim Bako, 4th Battalion, Ibadan. Lieutenant William Wabe, 2nd Battalion, Lagos. Lieutenant Mama Vatsa, 2nd Battalion, Lagos. Lieutenant Buka Suka Dinka, Nigeria Military Training College, Kaduna. Lieutenant Yakubu Dambo, 3rd Battalion, Kaduna. Lieutenant Garuba Abe Daba, Adjutant 4th Battalion, Ibadan. Lieutenant Mohammed Balarabe Aladu, 4th Battalion, Ibadan. Lieutenant Malami Mahe Nasarawa, 2nd Battalion, Lagos. Lieutenant James Onoja, 4th Battalion, Ibadan. Lieutenant Abdullahi Sheleng, Company Commander, 4th Battalion, Ibadan. Lieutenant Paul Shabri Tafa, Federal Guards, Lagos. Lieutenant DS Abubakar, Abeokuta Garrison. 2nd Lieutenant Sonny Abacha, 3rd Battalion, Kaduna. 2nd Lieutenant Muhammadu Gado Nasco, Artillery, Kaduna. Sergeant Paul Dixon, Sergeant Sabo Kwale, Abeokuta Garrison. Corporal John Shagaya, 2nd Squadron, Abeokuta. See also. Oh dear. And Lieutenant Yakubu Gowon too. And immediately after the coup, Gowon was appointed to head the new government. So when they finished killings, Aguiyi-Ironsi killed in Ibadan. Fajuyi, who was trying to protect him, was killed too. So many other people were killed across board. Many of you know the story. Now, they ran back. They ran away when they did that. Lagos was seat of power. So when they finished the killings, they ran away to the north. Like the Boko Haram that will come in, kill, burn, braggadocio and all of that, do all of that, and disappear. Terrorists, they disappeared. But you know what happened? They said they didn't want to have anything to do with Nigeria anymore. They were done. That Nigeria should go back to what we were. Every region should hold its own thing. There's going to be Nigeria, fine. If there's no Nigeria, fine. That was where their slave master that left just about 6 years ago. 6 years ago. People are already killing themselves. Blood everywhere. The British came back. Don't do that. You will be the loser for it. for the future of the North, it must always be with the South. If you go away, it will be the worst decision ever that you guys are making for the future of your people, because their survival lies on the productive South. It is a statement of fact. They had to choose who is going to lead them. Most of them are just common thugs. They were recruited into the army through the quota system. They had no real anything. You know, eventually, Gowon was selected. They selected Gowon, and Gowon became the president of the new country. There were other senior military officers in the army. Ojukwu was one of them. Ojukwu was more senior than Gowon. But remember, these guys, these terrorists, just probably declared victory over the people Ojukwu also represent. When Aguiyi Ironsi became the military head of state and appointed, you know, Nzogu and the rest of them, including Ojukwu to lead the eastern part of the country. Remember, we were coming from regional system of government. They killed it. Now they need to force a new one, and they need their own people to represent. Ojukwu was in the army, a brilliant soldier, by the way. Disagreed, and he made it open. He didn't disagree cowardly and hide himself in the east. He didn't. He faced Gowon, and he said, when they finally said Gowon will be the new head, I was like, no, it's not going to happen. Because before Gowon became the head, there were so much killings. Everywhere, wherever they saw any Igbo, wherever they saw anybody who is not a northerner, Yorubas, Igbos, everybody, they call it the program. They killed and killed. Because Nigeria has no data, you will never know their names. So that was going on underground until these military guys performed magic, and one way or the other, one of them is now leading again. Now, this time around, the person that is leading is not just leading the North, he's leading the whole country, and by virtue of what Aguiyi Ironsi put in place, Gowon is going to be president of everybody, whether you like it or not. It was like a finality. And Ojukwu faced him. It is not going to happen. My people said they would rather go away with what happened, the injustice and all of that. The killing is no stop, no small thing. No. So, the first confrontation about it was in that same 1966. It wasn't years later. Ojukwu didn't go home and say, what should we do? Should we plan another coup? Should we overthrow? No, he didn't do that. He wasn't interested in leading Nigeria. I am saying this because this is the real narrative. When they tell you, why did we go to war? It was to protect a wrong country that they have managed to now form, and they want to strengthen it. They want to force it on everybody. That wasn't what we were. That wasn't the Nigeria that was given independence. So Ojukwu didn't say, let us plan another coup. Let us overthrow Gowon so that we can control the whole of Nigeria again. The same way these lunatics did. He didn't do that. Let that be a statement of fact from whatever they have told you. And he didn't wait for months. Immediately that decision was made by the Military Supreme Council, now led by Yakubu Gowon, a junior military officer. Ojukwu faced him. This is unacceptable. With the enough bloodshed we have seen, with what is going on against the Easterners and then the Southerners in the North, since this whole wahala started in January, it is better that we go our separate ways now. And my people are asking. They are asking. I am their military representative in Nigeria now. By virtue of my position, I can speak for them. The negotiation began. Don't do that. Don't do that. By then, Ojukwu already ordered. The moment they go on, this is the fake one Nigeria I'm telling you about now. The moment Gowon became military head of state, the Easterners began moving back to the east in the same Nigeria. There were so many meetings, so many reconciliatory meetings and the rest of that, including the one they had in Aburi in Ghana. By May 26, 1967, just about a year, that Gowon is now the new military head of state of Nigeria. Biafrans conducted their own referendum. The referendum that was supervised by every village head in Igbo land, and the result came back that they wanted to leave. They don't want to be part of Nigeria anymore. Let me be honest with you. Let's say it is not 100% of Igbos who wanted to leave at that time, but by virtue of United Nations, declaration, which allows states to form, the people living in that place, at least you must get over 50% of them who want to form their own country. And from record, the referendum of May 26, 1967, conducted in Igbo land, came back with over 90% yes. That was why they could hold a whole Nigeria for 3 years. They had no armory. They were not in charge of the Nigerian armory anymore. There's no armory or anything left in the Igbo land, because the Hausa Fulani that they called them then, the guys who planned, who executed the 1966 coup, they made sure that Igbo land will never ever have the economic power, military power to fight them or fight back. So they have been living in the shadow of what they did in 1966. Since then, we have been living the fake Nigeria life. My message doesn't really have to make any sense to you. You can continue to live your fake Nigeria life. But guess what? This truth will always be constant. You will always be hearing it. You will always be seeing it. Until it makes a reformed change in you. The only thing you can change ever is the truth. You can always change the lies. Right? They waged the war. The people were so resolute. They wanted to leave. We don't want to control Nigeria. We don't want to be president. We don't want to, we don't want to control, we don't want to control anything. Let us just stay in our small place that you called our small place. It's a request. We don't try and vice. We don't kill ourselves. To stop the killing, let us stay away. But they were full of blood. These criminals who took over, you heard their names, and you can tell what they later became, how they later rewrote the Nigeria history. You heard names like Muhammadu Buhari, you heard names like Muritala Muhammad, names like Sonny Abacha, names like Theophilus Danjuma. You hear all those names. You know what they later became in Nigeria and what role they later played in the script that they began in July 1966. The role they later played. By June, 4 days after, which is May 30, Ojukwu declared independence for Biafra. 4 days after Biafrans decided that they were leaving. Unanimous decision. We are living peacefully. No war, no wahala. Let us go on our own. Remember, it was actually the era that Nigeria began receiving petrodollar. That was the moment. You hear the story now. 28 years old Yakubu Gowon, president of Nigeria, who went into oil field, and they told him that we are producing about 100,000 barrels a day. He said, how much is that? They said, oh, that is something around $300,000. At that time, it was like, stop it, stop production. He went into CBA. They said, you heard that Fabuani. I don't know if that happened, but he was so young as the president at the time, and possibly it was erratic too, because that's the other side. They hide away from from their history. They have been telling you. They turned them to heroes, and these guys are criminals, war criminals. They committed war crime, and they are celebrated as heroes. How do you heal a country who hide the injustices, and the injustice meted are the same citizens of the same country that you are forcing them to continue to say they are Nigerians. They said they don't want to be. You should be able to have a choice. What reasonable people would do is that they will conduct another referendum. Igbos are not new to referendum. From the history I have actually discovered now, they are bigger than what we often, and there's a lot you can actually learn from them. I'm telling you. 4 days after the Igbos decided to leave, Ojukwu declared independence for Biafra. The wahala began. That same year, Gowon saw an opportunity to kill more, to make up for the death of their political leaders, to retaliate the death of their political, to teach the Igbos a lesson, even though the coup was not an Igbo coup. For those who have been following from the beginning, if you are just joining me, well, maybe you should relax a bit. I may be touching a few things I've said before, so don't rush it. That was bomb shelling on Nigerians who said they didn't want to be part of Nigeria anymore. For 3 years, the propaganda all over the country was so palpable, so vicious, that as they were killing Igbos, they were getting praises from other parts of the country. The civilians, the educated elite, the people who were supposed to actually say, stop this. They were feeding them propagandas for 3 years. And they killed over 5 million people. Mind you, they didn't kill them by shooting them. Majority of those they killed, those coward animals that you call your leaders in Nigeria. Most of those who died were women and children. Many of them were starved to death. And everyone played their role, including our own highly revered Pa Awolowo. He was in prison. When the propaganda gets to the high heaven, they needed a figure to help them rally and calm tension in Yoruba land, because they knew then that one way or the other, the Yorubas will know what is going on. And the moment they get a grasp of what was going on, trust me, they would have never received the support, the international support they had to kill Igbos. You call me Igbo defender, so I should join you in their further execution. That will make you happy, won't it? It worked during your own father's time, your forefathers' time, your mother's time. In 1966, between 1966 and 1970, it worked because they helped Nigeria to kill other Nigerians simply because they didn't want to be called Nigerians anymore. So speaking up about this, defending them, at this time is the beginning of the healing that we all need from the atrocities of the past. They released Awolowo from prison. The same system that sent him to prison, the same system needed him to calm the tension in the West. So at that point, the West too should hang on. They shouldn't ask for their own country. Because if the West should ask for their own country at that point, the whole thing would have ended before 1970. Maybe today, I will be addressing you as a citizen of Oduduwa Republic. Many of you, maybe you would have been addressing me, we would have been friends because you are from Biafra Republic. And I can drive down to visit Biafra Republic, just driving for just 4 or 5 hours. I'll be in Biafra Republic border. Maybe, but it was the propaganda of the era. It was the politics of the era. Awolowo was sent to prison for treason. He was meant to spend 10 years in jail. 3 years after, another government is in town. The same government is saying, see, we can commute your sentencing to this. And I have the video of the day Awolowo left prison. Okay, I have the video. So it was the politics of the era. They did what they had to do then to further join Nigeria to kill Igbos. Then, instead of them to feel remorse, they were bragging about it. They are bragging about it till tomorrow. Then, they also want even the Igbos to stop saying they want to leave. We are all one. How can you be one with people you enjoy killing? Come on. It's a common sense thing. If Yoruba land faces what is going on in Igbo land, the economic jihad that Buhari of today is now waging on the southern part of Nigeria, and you see them on social media defending him. No, wahala, continue. You are the victim. Now, the economic jihad and everything that they are waging against them today didn't start today. And every time you justify it, you know what you are doing? You are helping Buhari as well to continue the execution of the Igbos. And you should never in your life, ever in your life, face anybody and tell them to accept one Nigeria. Do you want them to accept a one Nigeria where it feels good to see others persecuted, killed, simply because it's not you? So it's all right, let's do it. We should all claim to be one Nigeria. How long do you think you can fool yourself? How long do you think you can fool yourself? I mean, practically, a country should be where if we have to disagree, we should disagree based on development and things like that. That is if you have a country. You don't have one. That is why today it is all about marginalization here, marginalization there, because everyone feels excluded. Because they were never part of it anyway. You are never part of the Nigeria they built. You are only helping them to validate it. Every time you go about flying the flag, I have been like that too. What is the way forward? Break it up. Why are you afraid of breaking it up? What are you gaining from it? What is your direct benefit as a Nigerian? We become refugees all over the world. A country that is meant to be so rich, so powerful, so industrious, so developed that it should be a role model for the rest of all black nations on earth. We have become object of mockery. We have become object of ridicule. We have become refugees all over the world. What the fuck is wrong with people? Where's that Nigeria coming from? Where's that fake Nigeria coming from? Does it benefit you in any way? If it does, congratulations. How many are benefiting from it? It is your country. You are meant to be, you are meant to be prosperous in it. Those who run the country should be those who create wealth. Open the path, not loot and turn the place to graveyard. They steal from the place, they steal from Nigeria, they bring the money here. Then when they die, they go back to Nigeria and bury them. They turn Nigeria to graveyard, a place where vultures feed on humans. What are you proud of? What are you afraid of when you hear the word break up? Look at yourself. There is no one Nigeria. It is the truth. There was never one. We pretended, we tried for 6 years, 1960 to 1966. We failed to have a country. And they changed them for us. And you have been defending that for years. Ignorantly, maybe. But now that you know, do you want your own children too to continue to defend the fake amalgamation, the second amalgamation of Nigeria, done by the military terrorists from the north? They killed 5 million people. They forced them to surrender. Listen to this. They forced them to come and surrender, that they are now Nigerians. I have the video of the video of the second in command to Ojukwu, who handed over and surrendered to Nigeria. Think about that. They didn't say they want to rule Nigeria. They said they wanted to leave Nigeria. And their people accepted and decided that. Then you went there. You killed 5 million of them. Then you now force those who are alive to come back to Nigeria and pledge to Nigeria. How does that make us one? Is that how you make one country? Come on, come on, come on. That's not how you make a one country. Those who died, they turned them to statistics. I apologize, by the way, because I've been using this figure, 5 million, 5 million. We are talking about human beings. Not 5 million chickens. Human beings who have families, who have heritage, who were born the same way I was born, the same way those who killed them were born. Come on, guys. It does get into some part of us if you have any human feeling at all. It will get into some part of you too if you have any human feeling left in you. It is a common sense thing. Nobody, if I read my history, that they killed 5 million in Yoruba land, I will turn to a rebel. I will be more blunt than this. I will be madder than Nnamdi Kanu. If today, I read it in my history, that there was a time that they killed 5 million Yorubas because they wanted to leave Nigeria. Trust me, many of you who are preachers today, many of you are saying, let us do everything to make it great. Let us work for our country. All of you saying that, the Yorubas. You know what? You will be worse than Nnamdi Kanu. It's a common sense thing. Where is that one Nigeria? From all the analysis I've given you, how did you arrive at one Nigeria? Where is it that we have to be one when we've never been one? Where did you connect the dot that says we are one? We got independence, we are one. Where did you connect it? There was none. The 1999 Constitution, when they decided to go away after getting so old, so rich, these military criminals and those who succeeded them, in 1999, they still called themselves, wrote you a constitution, 200 million people, 200 million mumus. They still wrote the constitution. We didn't see when they wrote it. We didn't hear anything about it. And since 1999, you have been amending that constitution. And every year, Nigeria gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into poverty. How do you describe that? Because there was never a country. Immediately after 1966, Theophilus Danjuma became a multi-billionaire with so many oil blocks accredited to him in the conquered land. You know what they did? After taking over power, after fighting the civil war to kill the genocide that killed the Igbos, they shared the resources in those places. They became oil moguls. They became multi-billionaires. They became so powerful. They became so influential that they began influencing people from across board down to start using them as proxies that will continue to say there is one Nigeria. What the heck is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? What is wrong with you? When are you going to realize it? That this is not for you? It was never for you. If you can think, defending it, pushing it, trying to fix it, you cannot fix what you have no master plan for. It was a riggedy arrangement put together on base of retaliation. The current Nigeria is put together to retaliate against you, Nigerians, because it was never in your interest. That is why the police is working against you. The politicians feel so comfortable to steal from you, lie to your face, confidently, because they know that the system they put together is already rigged against you. It's a retaliatory system. They took away what could have worked and they put this retaliatory unitary system together. Not to help you, but to destroy you. And if you don't know, well, you will find out, hopefully, easily. Not like those who have been victims of a Boko Haram and so many other terror groups. I need some drink.
Mayegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ráàkì ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dé ronú fi wọ́n ní ràn-ún ìyá. Mayegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ráàkì Mayegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ráàkì ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí.
Thank you very much. So, let's continue. The most asked question by so many people is, what is the way forward? We know all of this. We have heard it many times. What can we do then? I know I've told you that I actually saw, kind of see most of these questions as rhetorical questions that don't deserve any answer because you know the answer. When you have something that is not working for you, you change it. When they tell you you can't change it, then you begin to ask them why. So when you begin to have that mentality to ask them why, and you are not just taking what they tell you, hook, line, and sinker, when they tell you Nigeria is one, tell them to prove it to you. When they say we should do everything to make Nigeria great, when they say we should, ask them, who are the we? Is it those who put the system together to work against you? Or you, who are the victims of the rotten, rigged system? Who are the we? Who are the we should come together? Are you saying you, the victims, should come together and agree that that's your way of life? Then agree that that's what Nigeria is? Or those who are there, who have the opportunity of actually doing the right thing, are doing the right thing in all reasonable, with all reasonable evidence. An Igbo man cannot be president of Nigeria, and you will meet a Yoruba man that is going to try to convince you why an Igbo man cannot be president of Nigeria. I live in Scotland. In Scotland, we don't agree with the Westminster. No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow, no agreement ever. You know why? The young people of Scotland, they came together about 15 years ago. Before then, the biggest party in the UK, the biggest parties in the UK, are and still are the Labour Party, as well as the Conservative, which is the current political party in power in the UK. But in Scotland, these young patriots came together. They formed their own political party. They called it Scottish National Party. Now, they went into town. They talked to their people. What could be done? A country, even though this is Europe, everything seems okay, well, it's always better in Scotland than the rest of the UK. I am living here. I am a living proof. It is always better in Scotland than the rest of the UK. You know why? Because the people who are leading the government in Scotland, they are not in agreement with any one-size-fits-all idea that they give in Westminster, even though they represent the country. So if they cannot fix it, then you have the right to change them. So if they tell you that restructuring cannot work, and you see a Yoruba man telling you that is how it's going to be, my brother, you stop fighting for the Igbos. It's because you still have that mentality. I can't help you, and you can't stop me. Do you see that? I can't help you, if you have that mentality that your own type of one Nigeria is the one that psychologically excludes the Igbos from the equation, and we should all come out, beat our chest, and say, let us work and make our country great. Which country? Who are the people of that country? Who? So there is no one. My solution is the solution of 90% of Mayegun's Diary followers. Let us break it down if it is too complex for them. Because when they put it together, there was never any master plan. They didn't have any plan to control a country, to make a country prosper. They didn't have any plan. The only plan they had was to retaliate, and they succeeded. Instead of them being killed for what they did, you know what happened? They got rewarded. And since then, they have been building allies in Yoruba land. We know them. And they have tried over the years to build allies in the East. And those who have made money from them, we know them too. Do not mix it up. I am just a vessel. Okay? If you want to turn to Nnamdi Kanu, you want to do this and that, I am not. I'm not even fit to be called a liberation leader. I am Mayegun. Just call me Mayegun. That guy, you know, or you can say that Ijebu boy or that Ijebu man. That's enough. I am not fitting to what those guys are ready to face. You know why? Because Nigeria that I know is a worthless package. That only if those living in Nigeria realizes this, that they will then decide to change it. Like, instead of you to get angry, you should look inward, look deeper, and change it. If you can't change it, you can't stop me from talking about it until we make up the number. So I'm not fitting to be compared to these guys. Showore, Nnamdi Kanu, and the rest of them. I am just a vessel that brings you these strange messages from the wilderness. The guy that will say it the way it is, even if you are not comfortable, he will still say it. So don't compare me with them. They are doing something that is more. In fact, we should what? We should commend them and protect them. Use everything within our disposal, never to fall to the propaganda and blackmail of those who have destroyed Nigeria. Changed the package since 1966. Gowon is still alive. He is now leading Pray for Nigeria group in Nigeria. He is traveling about praying for Nigeria. The Nigeria that he himself knows that doesn't exist. No plan, no nothing. When they send him out of power, he spent 9 years. He was in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for African Union conference or meeting, whatever they call it. From there, they told him that they don't come out you. Now your guy come out you. Who be that? Now your guy, na Muritala. Eventually, Buka Suka Dimka, that one went, the same one who planned the coup with them. In 1966, Buka Sukadimka also went after Muritala, killed Muritala. Obasanjo benefited. Awolowo that they brought out of prison to come and help them, join them in ensuring that it calmed the Southwest, so that the Southwest will not know what is going on. They will calm them, so they will not have any reason to say they wanted to leave Nigeria too. They will now have any reason to say they want to go back to regionalism too. So they ensured that Awolowo was released, and they used him then. In fact, they quickly gave him a portfolio in Gowon's government, made him a commissioner for finance, which is equivalent to today's Minister of Finance. And that was the moment they changed Nigeria money from pound sterling to naira and kobo today. To kill them economically. They did that. Because if Awolowo said no, he will stay in the prison. So he agreed to come and help them douse the tension in Yoruba land, so that Yoruba people will not have any reason to go. And it worked. So as a Yoruba man, don't feel ashamed about that. It is what the history is. There are so many terrible things done by those who have grown up to be seen as heroes. But that will not change the fact that the legacy they left especially Awolowo, outpassed any other role they managed to coerce him into participating in to further the execution of Igbos by the brigands, the criminals who decided to retaliate the death of their leaders because they suspected that they were killed by the Igbos, even though they were not. So where were we? Break it down. Make it easier. By 1979, Obasanjo also did everything to punish Awolowo too. Awolowo, Shagari that had no clout, that had no nothing, defeated a renowned independence campaigner, a renowned Obafemi Awolowo, the sage, because Obasanjo helped him. The story is out there. They kept destroying themselves here and there from the history. They said, okay, MKO Abiola said played the role in ensuring that Awolowo never defeated Shagari again in 1983. By 1983 too, Boko Haram became the new president after he killed those they could kill, and he overthrew the government too. So, by 1985, they said Buhari's time himself don't do. Babangida, who was part of those who first planned the coup, also took over. And he kept Abacha with him. By 1993, Babangida too stepped aside. Abacha took over. So the coup plotters were enjoying it. They were enjoying it until 1999, and they took off the uniform. They put on the agbada. It's a fake country put together by them. Every time you defend it, every time you try to make up stories and try to remember the good old days that makes you feel like Nigeria can still be great, you are living a lie. And the earlier you stop, the better for you. It's important. Do not make your children be like you. You don't need to hate anybody. There is a region hurting. They were killed. They were killed, and they did everything to wipe the killings out of the history of Nigeria. You cannot stand up today and say, oh, I know where they reburied the victims of Nigeria's civil war. The soldiers who died on both sides, the civilians who died, this is where they have laid the lawn for them. We will never let this happen again. As a reminder, this is where we buried 5 million Nigerians who said they wanted to leave Nigeria in 1960, 67 and 1970. As a reminder, they wiped it away. Nowhere. You will never go and see where Nigeria government indeed put a remembrance. They don't even celebrate the end of the Civil War anyway. Thank God that they were unable to kill all of them. They were unable to kill all Biafrans at the time. If not, you and I may never hear about them. Maybe they would have forced those who are left to become another tribe, and they must never claim that they were Igbos again. Maybe if they had the opportunity, they would have done that. If not because of those who are still alive, you will never, ever see Nigeria celebrate the death of millions of Nigerians. They have designed different stories, they have wrote different history, they have done all of that. But guess what? If you read many of them very well, you will know the tone. You will know from the tone of the writing, from everything they write, you will know from where the writer is coming from. If you are smart enough, don't just read the stories that they have all these guys have written about Nigeria. Read about the authors too. You will realize that they were those who were with those criminals who are helping them to change the narrative over time. Some of you have read so many history about Nigeria. Some of them are fake. Go and read about those who wrote the stories, the authors. You will be shocked that they have been feeding you with lies that you have been arguing with when they were committing genocide and killing people. Finally, do not think because they haven't done it to you they won't do it to you. They will do it gleefully. They will do it happily. Because when they were doing it then, you kept short. You joined them in verbally re-executing, re-killings, second, third, fourth killings, again and again every day, of those who were not supposed to die. They were not trying to, again, they were not saying they want to rule Nigeria. Do not let that. So what is their offense that they wanted to leave? Where is that hatred coming from? Because they are now coming back to become so angry. Would you not be angry if they say they killed 5 million people in Yoruba land simply because Yoruba wanted to live in 1969? Some of you are so educated that I'm so sure many of you will be worse than Nnamdi Kanu. So where is your logical reasoning in all of this? Because it didn't affect you. It can happen to you. It's called a program. It's just a message. Ask those who have fell where you won't be able to ask them because they died. Ask those who fell during those skirmishes in the north. Those who got caught up in the trap of raging animals who have been fed with lies. Their fathers were fed with lies. Their parents were fed with lies. Their parents fed them with lies. And they are vicious and they are all walking weapon of mass destruction. They kill gleefully. How do you reconcile that? How? Let us break it. Break it. Break it. Put it up. Hashtag break it now. It is not working. It will never work. Break it. If you say Nigeria is too complex, break it. When you tell them to restructure, they said it's impossible. Fine. Break it. Save lives. If Nigeria can try to heal, if Nigeria can try to heal, let us start from admitting what happened. When we admit what happened, and those who are grandstanding today, appearing on different platforms all over the world, saying rubbish to justify and validate the criminally rigged system in Nigeria. Let them know the only solution is break it. If it is working for you, keep it. If it is not, change it. In this case, change the entire thing. Stop refurbishing it. Stop mending it. Stop patching it up. And most importantly, stop living in denial. Today, they have made Yorubas poorer than what we should be. You should be concerned. The system they put in place today make those who represent Yoruba land to become so greedy. It is the system. That is why more goes to them than the people they are leading. When things become this complex, break it. Let us start again. This time around, separately. We can get about 6 countries in Nigeria. And guess what? We will still be very much vibrant. 6 countries. But if you think me asking you to break it is not the solution, fantastic. I would love to hear your own solution too. We would all love to hear your own solution too. The North can succeed on their own. They have everything to be whatever they want to be. if Dubai can be a top destination for so many of you all over the world, spending your hard-earned cash to visit Dubai without Nigeria, the northern Nigeria can survive. All they need to do is to change it. Change it. Because what the political leaders in Nigeria succeeded in doing over the years is that they had a plan of ensuring that people were pushed into poverty. Then it will now be their responsibility to keep managing that poverty. That is why today, education no longer means what it is. It just means get it and know how to read and write and possibly communicate. It is not going to be your own springboard to any success anymore. Because the leaders have decided to keep managing poverty. They weaponize poverty. Then they now made it their responsibility to keep managing poverty instead of creating wealth that will lift people out of poverty genuinely. Look at all their empowerment. Graduates, they will give you Okada. They are now Okada riders. Graduates with PhD and all of them, they are now truck drivers for Dangote. And you see them everywhere. Many of you, your destinies have been changed. Your dreams have been altered simply because the system is rigged against you. When it's not working, change it. Change it. Stop pretending that maybe if you try this, don't try anything. Break it. Start afresh. You don't need to like me like I said from the start, but you will never be able to stop me. When I tell you, and I hope my message today really gets to you. I really do hope. The reason is this. Today, Nigeria is sitting on wealth. But because you have poor leadership, you can no longer continue to pray for something that doesn't exist. It is time to break it and create something that exists, that truly represents your yearnings. If you don't have that mentality, they will continue to come back every 4 years. They will continue to bring themselves back in, and you will continue to ask yourself, why is Nigeria not progressing? It will not progress. Watch my video from beginning again, and it will make sense to you. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you some other time. By the way, we would have our meeting today, and I'll tell you the time later today, so we can have our Zoom meeting, and maybe you can react to this too. Thank you for your time. Let me enjoy my music before I go.
Oníkọ́ṣà ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ òun báyé.
Enjoy it if you understand Yoruba.
Ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni láti lè lẹ́wọ̀ lẹ́rù ọmọ bá lè ro kàṣà ìtú wọn síta. Máyégún sì dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súra. Máyégún sì dé.
Who is dancing?
Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kè lẹ́bù. Lóòótọ́, olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú màmá ni.
ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sí
máa fi rẹ̀.
ọ̀tá lè ìbò níṣègùn ní káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣe ra wọn ní kó ti dẹrù
tí wọn kò gbọ́dọ̀ sè mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀.
èèkó ọ̀pọ̀lọmọ bá lọ́wọ́ tàbí ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti jọba lórí àbínú ẹ̀ ní kò sì mọ́ kùyà àìsíwọ́lú ní
ẹnìkan ìgbódi ẹ̀yìn láfàrà ogun ẹni tó bá dẹ̀wò wá kábùkù.
máa lè mú ti ṣe gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra máa lè kó ti dé
gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kìí o ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí
wọ́n ṣe
ọmọ bá dèrò ìfí wọn níran òwe. Máyégún ti dé. Thank you.
ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọn níran.
Thank you. See you later.